Hi everybody, this is Aly and Anya Podcast, and tonight I am in my apartment with my dog. If you hear extra noise, we apologize in advance. In episode 7 of season 1, I was interviewing a friend of mine from Austin. He was a songwriter and in his 30s, and he was giving his opinion of relationships and expectations as a Christian. Now, in season 2, episode 3, I believe, we are going into a very different route and also interview a couple. And some of you were asking about polyamorous relationships. Now, since neither Anya nor I have any experience with that, we figured we'll ask the experts. Polyamory is the practice of or desire for intimate relationships with more than one partner, with the informed consent of all partners involved. In this episode, we are going to share our interview and discussion with Arina Kundalini and Mike Kundalini, who do practice polyamorous relationships and also teach classes on sexuality and also connection. Oh, and by the way, the sponsor of our podcast is Dill Community Creative Space. This is where art meets tech. This is where people like you, entrepreneurs, meet each other and help each other grow. You can check us out on dillseattle.com, where can you see the services that we provide. Dill Creative Community Space is all about connecting people to build better products. All right. Hi, Arina and Mike. I'm so excited to talk to you today, and especially because I know so little about polyamorous relationships and how it works, and also because you guys are so well known in the community, and I personally have taken one of the classes which I really enjoyed. So thank you so much for all that you do for the community.
Hello.
Hey.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start with the fact that when I reached out, I was asking about polygamy, and you corrected me, saying that it's actually polyamorous relationships. So this shows how little I know about this. So tell us, everybody on the who's listening to us, the difference, because not everybody knows.
Polygamy is the marrying multiple spouses.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mormons do it a lot where they have multiple wives.
I used to be Mormon, so I can tell you that they used to do that. And then there's also like some areas in Utah and other states where it's called FLDS, which is Foundation LDS, that actually still have several wives.
Mm-hmm.
But the current culture in the church is not to have more than one wife.
But polyamory is just multiple partners. Like I'm not married with Arina or her husband, but Arina and her husband are married.
Right.
So it's kind of fun when I explain to someone that my girlfriend and her husband, so and then people get kind of
confused.
Wait, huh? And this guy kind of like throwing them that curveball, but multiple partners. So we're in a triad or a trinity, sometimes it's called, where think of a triangle. Arina's the point, and we are the two lines that come out. Because we both go to Arina, because she's the girl, and her husband and I are, we are into women. We haven't played with men. And there's a whole range. There's W's like that, but we're just a trinity or triad.
All right. So when did you realize that you're polyamorous?
I remember not having a word for it. I was maybe like 24, and I was really frustrated with dating, and it's just like was such a nightmare. And I was like, I want something like this where I can see multiple people, maybe have like a primary partner. I was like, I don't know. This seems so cool. And then a year later, meeting Arina, I was like, wow, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. Like, I'm free to have fun and free to be committed is the word, to someone, and still play around, explore, have fun. And the thing I like most about it is that really, like, you dive deep into the relationship and you can say whatever you want, whatever jealousy you have, whatever insecurities you have, all your desires. If you want to, like, oh, look, so-and-so's wife's really hot, I want to sleep with her, that's perfectly normal to say. And I like it, and I think it's beautiful to be able to share your relationship partner and yourself. And
yeah. I have a friend who he's 54 right now, and and so he was married before, had just a usual, monogamous relationship, and then he had these, like, once he got divorced, he was also searching for something different, and he's in a relationship with this beautiful Russian woman who's married, and it's kind of funny and interesting the fact that he is American. He met her, I think, somewhere in Bali, and yeah, so now they are also in a polyamorous relationship. So it's very interesting. I think there's also kind of a trend of this theme where people finding out there are other ways to have relationships.
definitely, I feel that way. I feel like most of my friends in the community are dabbling in polyamory or seeing multiple people or swingers, where they have this more fluid definition of a relationship, and definitely is a trend.
It didn't come to me, suddenly. For me, it was step-by-step process. First, we just opened relationship with my husband 21 years ago. And we started to have a swingers lifestyle, which means you cannot have attachments or relationship with anyone other than sexual encounters. And then little by little, we started to date other people, and I guess we became polyamorous, but we didn't know the word for this for many years. So we found out just a couple of years ago that we are polyamorous. No, maybe not a couple of years, 5 years. 5 years ago, because we've been with Mike for 5 years now. Yeah. Almost.
Right. So it is probably hard to ensure you give enough attention to each partner. Does polygamy or polyamory, does polyamory require very independent people for the relationship to work out?
I think that you have to be independent, self-conscious, and very confident. If you don't have these traits, it's going to be really hard to be in that type of relationship, because it requires a lot of responsibilities, a lot more responsibilities. And yes, indeed, you have to give more attention to more than one partner. So it requires you to be better organized in life.
One of the things I thought about while you were telling me about the polyamorous relationship and what it requires made me think of the fact that when we are in a monogamous relationship, and especially when we get married and stuff like that, it's one of those things that we take all these sorts of promises, and I think one of the things that is the most scary to a lot of people, you mentioned you have to have the confidence, the independence, all those things, and I guess even from like my personal feel, nothing in life is stable and 100%, right? But we all want stability and consistency.
And I think that feeling of knowing that, she might come back, she might not, whatever it is, and just being able to let it go is pretty hard for majority of people. Just like you said, that you would just let her out, and you have to be confident and just make care that she has fun and she's happy, pretty much. So on that point, is there extra communication that's required?
There should be a lot of very straightforward, honest, sincere, and genuine conversations. Without that, there won't gonna be trust. Then there won't gonna be understanding. So, in terms of understanding, you have to deal with multiple people, not just with one. So, of course, there should be way more conversations and commitment.
Was it could it be hard for in a situation when, let's say, two of you are okay with polyamory, but then you have a third person and they maybe not, they might not be ready, and like how much time would it take?
No, we didn't have situations like that, but I know a few families like that. Like one partner is monogamous and another partner is polyamorous. And this other partner, he has multiple partners and it's totally fine. It works for many people. One person just stays home and another person just go fuck around, but they still live together. They raise children, they have common finances and all of this. It works for many people. And sometimes some people have idea that I have to convert my partner. I have to make him polyamorous. That wouldn't work. Just leave them in peace. If they ever be ready, you'll know that. But don't try to convert or change anyone. It wouldn't work. Date your own species, which means if you're polyamorous, don't date monogamous person. It won't gonna work well.
It's harder.
Find someone who is also polyamorous. Don't try to convert these monogamous people. And sometimes, like, let's say girl is monogamous and the guy polyamorous, and they marry, and guy hope to convert his wife, and wife hope to convert him back to monogamy. And they both struggle to convert each other. So much effort goes to just nothing. Just guys, don't do it. If you realize it later, like you get married and 10 years later you realize that one of you is polyamorous, then you have to have a conversation and all of this. But trying to convert or change anyone almost never works. Okay, my opinion is that everyone is born polyamorous. It's that social programming may force us to be monogamous and believe in this. So, we all polyamorous. We just cannot admit it to ourselves, even to ourselves, not for our partners or for anyone from our society, community, or whatever.
What are the benefits of having polyamorous relationships?
So much more fun, so much more sex. There is definitely like a drama curve you go over, where it's like it takes reading books, it takes communication, it takes time, it takes being like, oh, this is how you feel, I want this, you want this, this is my needs, your needs, desires, all this stuff. But I feel like you get to this point in your life and your community that so much closer with your partners that it's just, I can never go back to monogamy. It just would be a death sentence for me. I'd probably be depressed, miserable. Like, imagine having a family and you have multiple partners to be like, oh, I'll watch the kids this week. You go to a movie. Go be old and boring. I'll watch the kids for you. It's like, oh, thanks, honey. And you have multiple people to... It's like a tribe that raises your children instead of just two parents that are sleep deprived and tired and hungry. And
All right. So on this topic, on this point, I read some articles a long time ago, and it's pretty much saying that it's predicted that we are going to go back to community-based families, and like in Dutch culture, it's more accepted already, where you would live in a like a big house. It's not. It's kind of apartments, but you have a communal kitchen, and then and it's not about like polyamorous relationships, but it's about the fact that everybody's watching everybody's kids. They have like a turn where they work in the kitchen. They have like schedule where who's looking after kids specific days, which enables other people to also have some time off. Yeah, according to some research, the polyamorous relationships were back in the days when we shared fire, and are going to come back. What do you think about that? What do you think about the communal effort type of thing?
It definitely makes sense, and maybe one day we can live in a community like that. We already have community of friends that come together and we share fire and food and sex and all of this. So it's fun. It's totally fun. And I can tell in my family, with my children, Mike has connection, even more connection with my little son comparing to me or my husband. So he takes such a good care of my youngest son, of my middle son. He takes good care of the whole family. He's such a good caregiver. And for me also, polyamory is like, it shows me that my love is endless. And why I like it, that I can love as much and as many as I want. And I also receive twice more love. Like now I live with 2 men and I receive twice more love, twice more attention, twice more care, twice more admiration. What woman wouldn't want it?
What about your guys' classes? Where can we find your information, and how do we sign up for classes?
Okay, you can go to my website, arinakundalini.com, and there is all kind of information, including calendar with workshop dates and all of that.
Perfect.
And a lot of articles about including polyamory and sex and relationship. So yeah, arinakundalini.com.
What about you, Mike?
I do intimacy coaching around this subject, and my website's mystictechniques.com. Just do individual coaching on navigating relationships, intimacy, and exploring polyamory.
I also can recommend Mike as a great massage therapist for yoni massage. So girls, check it out. It's amazing.
This conversation with Arina and Mike really made me think about the fact that there's so many different phases in relationships, and the way men and women perceive sex. For women, oftentimes sex is an emotional connection, and for men, oftentimes it's like eating, it's just an activity. It made me wonder, how do you keep your relationships healthy and alive throughout years, when you have children, when you're busy? What do you do with the sex drive, and all sorts of questions. Now, we will dive into all of these kind of conversations in the next episodes. And thank you so much for listening. This was Aly and Anya Podcast. Love you all. Good night from Seattle.